Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Geeks and Goblins. How are you, Mr. Utopian Revolt?
I'm doing great, man. No threats on my life today, so definitely starting off on the right note, I think.
Well, thank God for that. I don't think we as a people could handle it again.
Oh no.
It's a lot to process.
Yeah, just a tiny bit. Just a tiny bit. That being said, it hasn't happened today, at least not yet, so I will count that as a good day. How about you, sir? How are you doing?
Man, I'm doing all right, man. I got myself a little bit of a haircut. Like, I think I look good. I feel fresh. I feel good. And
You look fresh.
that's what matters. I feel refreshed. That's the word. That's probably the best word for it.
Let's go, man. I mean, you look fresh as hell, if
Uh,
you don't mind me saying.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I try my best. My mama said I was beautiful. I
Oh
find
my
it hard to
god.
believe for some days. Most days.
Oh, damn. Nothing is as pure as a mother's love, I'll tell you that.
Man, it, uh, I don't know what I would do without my mother's love. I don't know. I don't know. Oh my god. It wasn't the most filled week this week for news, man.
Right. It wasn't. We were kind of struggling yesterday when we were trying to like finish our preparations for today's show. Being said, I think we have a decent amount of stuff to talk about, a good variety of stuff, and some of it will be bangers, some of it will be, kind of low key, but that's fine. It's nice to have a couple of these weeks every now and then.
Yeah, it gives us an opportunity to just kind of create our own topics, stuff that we want to talk about. But as always, we will open up with our weekly roundup. I'll go ahead and kick us off. Tales from the Borderland is coming back with a new game later this year. Tales from the Borderland is actually probably the only Borderlands game that I'm familiar with. I'm historically not a fan of the franchise. So I
Right.
am moderately excited for this. Moderately. Moderately.
I uh I think that first game was my favorite. Well, it was right up there with my favorites of those Telltale games back when they were around. Right up there with The Wolf Among Us. So I'm excited to see it coming back. I think they're going to completely use a new cast, which is a little disappointing. But I'm excited for it, to be honest.
Why is that disappointing? I feel like, of course, they would want to, bring in a new cast. I could be wrong.
I feel like there was still so much more to tell. Hold up, we're getting reports of me sounding like I'm far away. Let me go ahead and
Oh yeah,
fix
you
my
you
game.
did you boosted yourself a little bit there.
All right, is that too much?
No, no, you sound fine to me. You've always sounded fine to me. The translation's always going to be hard for audio, man. It's everything I've ever done. I've always found that audio is always the touchy point. You can get video right, you can get lighting right, but it's the audio, man. It's the audio that's always like, what the fuck is happening?
Always, man. We've had multiple issues now, but I think we're good. Chat, feel free to chime in. But
Please.
just going back, I think there was some stories to still be telling of that original cast for Tales from the Borderlands. I'm not too disappointed that they're going to go with a new cast. I just hope that the quality is still there.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Would you like to lead us into our next topic, sir?
Yes, sir. Speaking of Telltale, I believe Telltale has turned into Skydance Entertainment. And Skydance New Media is actually partnering with Lucasfilm for a new Star Wars project headed by Amy Hennig.
Oh, so we might actually get a Star Wars game before 2027 is really what you're telling me right now.
Oh man, I honestly, man, that breaks my heart to hear. You didn't have to mention that, but yes, you are right. You are absolutely right. I think this is going to be Amy Hennig's actual chance to get a Star Wars game made. I know she was rumored to be working on, I think it was called Project Ragtag, which was going to be like a Star Wars Uncharted type of game.
Okay.
And the leaked gameplay that they had for that, and just the trailers and stuff looked phenomenal. But it was canceled because it's EA. So I'm excited to see the story she's trying to tell with Star Wars.
All right, all right. And for those who aren't familiar, because I'll tell you right now, I wasn't super familiar. I was not aware that Skydance Media is kind of more than just games. I had no idea that they were also heavy into film and television. Just some things of note to kind of talk about here. Top Gun Maverick, World War Z, Star Trek Into Darkness, Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. Is Tom Cruise on the board or something? There's so much Tom Cruise here.
Oh man, it's just a front for the Church of Scientology.
I suppose. I guess. Oof.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Skydance also has a little hand in comic books. I think they are pretty prominent with Walking Dead as well.
Yeah, I'm seeing from a game standpoint, they did The Walking Dead Sinners and Saints and Sinners, pardon. I can't say I'm too familiar with that, but I do see that they have an animation division as well. So, I don't know, there's some good stuff there. I like the idea of a kind of well-rounded company getting into gaming that touches on a bunch of different points. So, who knows? As long as Tom Cruise doesn't stick his greasy hands in it, I think I'm okay with Skydance getting into the Star Wars game. Moving forward, sir, Naughty Dog hints that it's hiring for a new Uncharted game. For new Uncharted games. That makes my spidey sense tingle. I cannot speak any more highly of the Uncharted franchise. One of my favorite franchises on the PlayStation, period.
Same, absolutely same. And just to make a quick note real quick, it's very interesting to see how these topics that we've talked about for the weekly roundup kind of like keep playing into each other.
Yeah, a little bit.
I also like the fact that you mentioned of Spidey senses, considering that Tom Holland just was the most recent rendition of Nathan Drake. So that's pretty cool.
I'm gonna tell you, I did that by accident. I really didn't. Amy Hennig into Uncharted into Tom Holland, like that's kind of insane. A little bit. I didn't even do it on purpose.
Oh man, even like Tales from the Borderlands being made by Telltale, which actually ended up becoming Skydance.
Actually, yeah, wow.
It's kind of crazy.
Wow.
But, dude, more Uncharted games is all I need. I would love to see more spin-offs, but I do want a major game. I want a new trilogy centered around what we saw at the end of Uncharted 4. I won't spoil it for those who haven't played because that game is worth playing from start to finish.
I think we need to create like a spoiler policy because like I feel like at this point I should be able to talk about the end of Uncharted 4. I won't, but I'm just saying like I should be able to speak my piece. Damn it.
Right, that's true. I think the only reason I'm trying to be a little bit cautious around it is because I know Mia has played through a lot of the series and she's halfway through Uncharted 4, so I'm not going to give it away.
Fair enough. I'm gonna have to make a spoiler screen soon though, so that way I can just press a button if my Stream Deck decides to, do its job, and people can know when spoilers start happening. Would you like to carry us into our next topic?
Yes, sir. This one actually survived our draft somehow.
I don't know how.
Well, I say somehow.
I do not know how.
World of Warcraft, Dragonflight brings sweeping changes to talents and professions. So a couple days ago, World of Warcraft announced their brand new expansion, and it seems like it's going to just make a lot of different changes to the just established formula. I'm seeing a lot of hype around it. It's not something I can really speak on a lot myself because it's been over a decade since I played World of Warcraft. How about you?
Same. I dabbled in it briefly as a child. There was that period in time where everyone was like, you gotta play World of Warcraft. And, I did my mandatory, boar slaying. And, it wasn't thrilling for me. But I know we do have some members of the community that are, or at least were, former World of Warcraft players. So I hope that brings a little bit of excitement to them. Will this bring me to the franchise? I don't think so just yet, but it is good to see that game is getting some more life breathed into it, especially considering the year and some change that, Blizzard has gone through.
Honestly, man, as long as it comes out on Xbox Game Pass once Activision Blizzard's officially part of Microsoft, I'll probably give World of Warcraft a shot. At that point, why not, right?
I suppose. I'll never be an MMO guy. I don't know what it is. I've tried, and I've tried again.
I respect it, man. I mean, I think the grind is a little bit too much for me when it comes to just MMOs in general. But who knows? If a decent size of a group of friends decide to just rope me into it, I give it a shot. The same way that I gave Lost Ark and New World a shot.
Maybe. Who knows? We might need to have a whole joysticks section on MMOs and why OG Goblin hates them to really get into the root of the issue. But our last topic, Splatoon 3 is coming this September, not too far away at all. I've briefly played the franchise. I was introduced by the lovely Azu, and I enjoyed it, my time on it. I can understand the appeal. I'm excited to see how this release comes out.
Yeah, same. Honestly, Splatoon is not one of those games I've ever really put much time into, but every time I play it, I have a freaking blast. And I think it's such a unique take on the deathmatch type of gameplay that we've had over the past couple of decades since gaming has kind of taken a stronghold.
Yeah, man. I think it's just another thing that adds to the Switch's amazing catalog of games, especially like family-friendly games. I'm hoping and praying Nintendo like wakes up and, you know, they can reignite their esports scene a little bit with Splatoon 3. It would be nice to see Nintendo have a foothold in esports, and I think Splatoon 3 has the potential to do it given its history as a potential esport. So I am looking forward to watching Splatoon 3's progress.
Same, absolutely. I don't really have much else to say about Splatoon other than what you just said. It's kind of disappointing to see Nintendo not really embrace esports the way that esports is trying to embrace it. But yeah, that's my little 2 cents on that topic.
All right, well, we are going to move on now into our joysticks section of Geeks and Goblins, starting off with Halo Infinite. Let me tell you, man, it's a franchise that has been a long-standing member of video games. Of course, who doesn't know Master Chief? Who doesn't know Cortana? Some of you have Cortana in your pocket, and if you have a desktop computer or a laptop computer, she's right there with you right now. You may not have her activated, but you have Cortana at home. We don't need Master Chief out in the field. We have Cortana at home. Unfortunately, Halo Infinite, on the other hand, has not had such big success. Some people are calling it a dead game. Some people are saying a Battle Royale should have been given to us at launch, and coincidentally, that is actually why we're here. Battle Royale will be launching May 3rd, I believe, for Halo Infinite.
That's a lot sooner than I expected. To be honest, I kind of glanced over the article and I was looking at more so the gameplay and what the concept was that they were going for. So May 3rd, hey, that's right around the corner. I'm excited.
It is right around the corner, and let me tell you, man, it is needed. I played Halo Infinite's multiplayer right around when it first came out, and it was good, but I just wasn't compelled. I don't know what it was. Personally, for me, I felt like Halo lost its magic. I wasn't a big proponent for the Battle Royale thing. I kind of think Battle Royales are a little played out at this point. I feel like everybody feels like they need to have one. But honestly, if it's going to breathe some life into Halo, I'm all for it.
Honestly, same. I think at this point, Battle Royale has just become another mode. The same way that Team Deathmatch is a mode, Capture the Flag is a mode, and I think we're going to start seeing that for a lot of different games. Even games like Apex Legends, they're starting to get into the Team Deathmatch aspect of things, which leads a little bit more credence to that theory of it becoming a mode. That being said, I am excited for this. I think a Battle Royale with the Halo Infinite combat and just the overall gameplay of that specific game, it's going to be a match made in heaven for me personally. Halo Infinite, when it first came out, I also played quite a bit of it. I think what ended up killing it before it really even had a chance to take off is just a lack of content. And I'm going to hesitate to say that Halo Infinite is a dead game because Microsoft has come out and 343 has come out and mentioned that they are going to be supporting this game for the next decade. I truly believe that this is going to be one of their just tentpole games for the next 5, 6, 7 years, however long they decide to. I don't think we've seen the last of Halo Infinite, and just some of these other announcements that we're going to be going into shortly just kind of, make me feel even more strongly about that.
I mean, honestly, they kind of have to for the next 10 years. They don't have another high-profile shooter franchise, at least one that I'm, privy to on Xbox. And they're never going to let Chief die. Let's get that out of the way. They tried to give us a new Spartan to give control of on Halo 3. Halo 4. Or was it Guardians? I always
Halo
forget.
5, yeah.
Either way, they tried to give us control of another Spartan, and people just didn't, we wanted Chief, and unfortunately, that's something that's going to stick. Like, people just want Chief. So Halo's never going to die. Whether or not I believe Halo Infinite can be supported for another 10 years, that remains as a big question. I'm not sure 343 can stick the landing on a battle royale.
I don't think they're going to be the main developers for the actual mode. I think I forgot exactly what the name of the studio was, but they've worked on Halo in the past. So I don't know if we have to really rely on 343's expertise. If we did have to, I would agree with you. I don't really trust them to make an engaging multiplayer mode. I know that sounds like a condemnation, but they just haven't really shown that off for the last couple Halos that they've had full control of. That being said, man, it is something that I'm excited about. Just I've thought about in the past having the Banshees flying out, the Warhawks flying out. I just think a Halo Battle Royale, to me, it sounds like the old Tribes games. It just the feeling that it evokes when I think about it, and I really hope that's the case, man. For real.
I haven't heard the title Tribes in quite some time. I think you might have potentially set the chat off for a second. So AJ does not seem to be too happy with that comparison. I'm not sure if he's happy or not, but so I mean, I think it's evident what a battle royale can bring to Halo. I guess the better question, at least in my opinion, is what can Halo bring to battle royales that we don't already have? I think that's a very important question, considering, like I said, I think battle royales are way overdone at this point. The most unique one that we have on the horizon, which will be out in 4 days, is Vampire the Masquerade Blood Hunt. And that's really the only one that's kind of in the spotlight right now. So what can really Halo bring to the genre?
Honestly, man, not much. I don't think it's going to really change up the genre very much. That remains to be seen, of course. Those are just my thoughts. But when I think of some of the more unique battle royales to come out, you already mentioned Blood Hunt. That's going to be a fantastic game, in my opinion. I also believe, I forgot what it's called. Was it Naruka Blade Point? It was that melee.
Yeah.
That's something unique. I really don't know what Halo's going to do. Maybe just energy swords and that type of stuff. But even then, melee weapons have been a part of battle royales in the past and present and will be in the future. So I don't know. It remains to be seen. We'll see if they have a trick up their sleeve for this mode. I think we can both agree that it's not looking good for it.
Oh, absolutely. But I think something that would potentially look good for Halo Infinite going forward is a co-op mode, which is also slated for August for the campaign. And people have been waiting for that for quite some time.
Top tier segue. I just want to give full respect to you for that. That being said, man, that co-op has been something I've been waiting for before the game even launched. I was actually shocked that they were launching it without co-op after they did that with Halo 5, at least split screen co-op, and they're like, oh, we're not going to make that same mistake for the next Halo, and they made the same mistake for the next Halo.
So correct me if I'm wrong, because I never got the chance to actually really delve into the campaign mode. My PC was having a weird compatibility issue because I downloaded the multiplayer on Steam and then whole separate thing. But is the campaign worth running back to a game that's come out so long ago now to play it co-op?
I never finished the campaign, mainly because I have been kind of waiting for this co-op mode. That being said, what I did play with the campaign, I actually really enjoyed. But that's just me. I think that the issues that people have with Halo Infinite, it's, at least from what I've seen, seems to be exclusively tied to the multiplayer mode and not to the campaign, where I've seen nothing just but praise for it. But of course, just my own little circle, my own little bubble.
Okay. Do you think it's going to work well, that kind of open? It is an open world. That kind of open world kind of situation. I don't know. I'm iffy personally. I don't know. Again, Halo Infinite wasn't my favorite game to come out recently, so I'm very skeptical of all the moves that they're making at 343.
Right. No, I'm right there with you with the skepticism. That being said, like I truly do believe that the open world nature of it actually makes it more of an enjoyable prospect for me as a co-op game. I think of games like Far Cry, like being able to free roam, go around, taking over settlements with your partner in crime and that type of stuff. So just clearing out the outposts, getting the collectibles, just fooling around, especially with how wonderful the traversal is in the game. It sounds like
That's
it could
fair.
be fun.
Hopefully. Maybe it'll give me a reason to uninstall the multiplayer and hopefully fix my issue and actually dive into the campaign. I've seen a lot of the campaign gameplay. I do like the direction that they went in. I think the open world thing was a little iffy for a lot of people at first, but I think it's ended up in the long run showing its worth for people. So I don't know. I hope the people that have been looking forward to the co-op mode, I didn't know it was long awaited. I hope the people that have been waiting for the co-op mode do get their fun out of it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. That's just one of the long-awaited modes that people have kind of wanted from Halo Infinite. The other one, honestly, no one's really talked about since it came out, but Forge mode. Forge mode apparently is going to be getting a beta around September. And from what I've been hearing about the Forge mode is they've expanded it so it's like its own game, really. It has its own programming language that you can use. I'm excited to see what they're gonna do. And honestly, between the battle royale, between the new season coming out for the multiplayer, between the co-op coming out later this year, and now Forge mode, that's what makes me think that we really haven't even seen the beginning of Halo as a live service game.
Well, here's to hoping. I think of all the things that we've talked about with Halo so far tonight, I think the most evident thing is that they are finally starting to listen to the fan base. I know how frustrated the fan base got with the multiplayer, with the microtransactions, how long it took to level up, how the attention to detail for the multiplayer just was not there as far as they were concerned, and the community management over there it just didn't seem like anybody was listening. So it's good to see that all of these things are happening, and it's great to see that Forge mode is making a return. I think that was one of the biggest highlights from previous Halo games for me.
Oh yeah, for sure. I remember like even back in the Halo 3 era, freaking Garbage Man, Michael Myers, I think it was of course zombies.
Oh yeah.
Can't even or infected. What am I talking about? Like Forge mode has brought some of the most magical gaming memories in my life, and I'm excited to see what they do. I still have that underlying worry that it's just going to be undercooked. It's not going to be as fleshed out as it probably should be. Um, and honestly, man, like this whole topic, we've just kind of been talking about the doubt that 343 Industries can really make anything that's quality when it comes to the Halo franchise. And I hope they prove us wrong.
Well,
But
for me, it shows. Well, we see that they have their eggs in just like one basket. For me, anyway. Before the multiplayer even launched, they had a full esports schedule. The Halo Championship Series, I think the prequels or something pertaining to the Halo Championship Series was held in Raleigh. Just as the game kind of came out, so there was a lot of hype around that. But the whole schedule had been laid out for the entirety of the year, so I think it's interesting to see them. I don't want to say backpedal, but it's interesting to kind of see them fill out around that because if you were paying attention to that scene, which I was kind of forced to at the time. If you were paying attention to that scene, that's really all their care was. And I think that's why it took them so long to really set up a battle royale and set up a campaign co-op and set up Forge mode, because I think they expected the multiplayer turnout to be a lot bigger than what it was. And personally, I just don't think it was a polished product. So it's good to see them hopefully coming out with some more polished products here soon.
I think you're completely right about that. And I started thinking about like even back when in the release window of when that multiplayer beta came out, they waited until a couple days after Call of Duty Vanguard had come out and right before the Battlefield 2042 early access or yeah, whatever that early access period was, to announce, hey, listen, we've moved it forward. We've moved the release of the multiplayer forward. And it just seems like they were just trying to grab everybody's attention and just get all the hype right before the Game Awards and basically capitalize on that being the first initial push of the game. And it worked for a little bit, but it ended up just falling, and now everyone's calling Halo Infinite dead. Hopefully this next wave actually starts kind of making a good game out of Halo Infinite's multiplayer.
And it's not unsurprising that they would make that push for the multiplayer, right? A lot of memories for people. Of course, you have the story. Of course, you know Master Chief's story. But for a lot of people, a lot of those core memories of childhood go back to, playing Halo with your friends, like having your friends come over on the first Xbox and playing Halo, and then, with the rise of Xbox, I was about to say Game Pass, with the rise of Xbox Live and them, kind of mastering online gameplay, Halo is a core component to modern multiplayer right now. So, I mean, of course, I would expect them to really, really, really push the multiplayer aspect. My question is, would that really be 343 that pushed that, or would they maybe have had a little bit of a hand behind them with good old Microsoft saying, like, hey, we need something to get people hype?
Do you know what I would not be opposed of? And I'm interested in hearing your thoughts on this.
Ooh, okay.
Imagine Treyarch or Infinity Ward making the next Halo, the next big Halo project.
Ooh, man, I think you might have stolen my disgusting hot take of the day. I think we're just gonna pass that one off to you. I hear the fan base screaming. I hear their pain. Somewhere, Phil Spencer just had a heart attack. And we're rushing that man to the ER as we speak. We don't know if he's going to be okay. We're calling his wife. We're calling his children. They're on the line. Microsoft is scrambling. Xbox doesn't know what to do because of the strange news they just heard. The Force has shaken the universe, and somewhere a Call of Duty fanboy is smiling cheek to cheek. Absolutely not. That's a terrifying concept to even think about. But I want to see it.
Yeah, I want to see the chaos that would ensue seeing that. I think given the right circumstances, given enough time to plan it out, maybe a partnership between 343 Industries and Infinity Ward or Treyarch or even Sledgehammer Games, it could be something very interesting. Of course, it's all based on speculation. It's literally just us, talking to each other about it. No, man. Do you think that a partnership like that could be fruitful for the franchise? Do you think it could potentially rescue Halo?
So, it's funny you say that. It's something I'd never talk about, but I'm a huge proponent for letting other developers put their hands on franchises. I'd love to see, just as an example, I'd love to see what Bethesda would do with an Assassin's Creed game, just as an example. I'm not too sure. I feel like the only people that Halo should be put back in the hands of is Bungie, to be completely honest. I would love to see where Bungie would pick up the franchise from here. I think 343 has done an excellent job, but honestly, the same goes for them in the sense that I would love to see what would happen if 343, got their own baby, if they were allowed to really make their own IP and let their creative minds really flow. Because it goes without saying, if they're sitting at the office and they have to make a Halo game, Microsoft is going to be behind them every step of the way and say, hey, it's got to be done like this. We need this. We need this. We need that. That's a given. So I'd love to see that flipped, man. I'd like to see Microsoft say, hey, you know what? Let's let Bungie have another try, and let's see what 343 can really give us, outside of Halo. And that's what I would like to see. So yes and no.
Right.
Yes to your question. Yes to your question.
Okay, so yes, it would rescue Halo, is what you're saying.
Oh, wait. I don't know if it would rescue Halo. Does Halo really need rescuing? It seems like the franchise that won't die, but that's okay.
That's true.
Halo has 9 lives, man. Halo has 9 lives. Halo is the cat of the video game industry. it will always, you can drop it, but it's gonna land on its feet eventually.
Right, but this is what, the eighth Halo game, so that just means one chance left going with that
And
analogy.
honestly, it might be the last one. Honestly.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. This is probably like they've even talked about the possibility of Halo Infinite being the last one. That's why it's freaking called Halo Infinite.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
Interesting though. It's an interesting discussion. I think now that Microsoft has so many talented multiplayer studios, we can like actually see anything happen. What if Blizzard made a freaking Halo hero shooter or something like that? Like,
Wow.
who freaking knows at this point? Who
Starring
knows?
all different colored variants of Master Chief and the Arbiter.
Oh my god! Hey, listen.
It
If they called that Red versus Blue, and they just ripped those characters out of that show,
would sell
I
out
would
in
play
minutes.
it. Yeah.
It would sell out in absolute minutes.
Oh my god. Oh.
Sir, would you like to lead us on to our next topic under the joysticks?
Yes, sir. Before I do, real quick, we opened up the stream talking about motherly love. I did see my own mother pop into the chat. Susie
Oh!
Hildebrand. Mom, I love you. Thank you so much for tuning in. TV or on the internet at least.
Hello, Mama
Oh.
Utopian. Can we get some? Until he gets his emotes, we really can't say it for him. But can we get some Goblin spam in the chat for Mama Utopian Revolt, please? Go and drop that
Let's
Goblin spam in there.
go.
It's
Let's
collective
go. I was
spam.
telling-
It's collective spam at the moment. Just go and drop that in there.
Hell yeah, let's go. I was talking to her about this Cuban burrito that I want to make. We'll talk about this some other time. Going forward, our next topic is the state of corporate gaming. Essentially, I want to kick this off by mentioning that Sony and Microsoft are repeatedly working on adding ads to free-to-play games.
Well, sorry, I just had a little bit of something came up. So sorry. Apologies.
No, you're good.
That's that's one of the most vomit-inducing statements I've ever heard in my entire life. But it's not the first time over the years, over my many years in gaming, that I've heard rumor of ads in free-to-play titles.
I mean, I think it's not far-fetched, right? Because we've seen ads in multiple games. You think about like the old Need for Speed games, you can see ads like advertising a specific soda or a specific car. Like we've seen this happen. I think it's a natural progression from what we've seen going on with the corporate video game world that we live in now, where NFTs have to be a part of a video game, where just they try to exploit the consumer base and the whales, so to speak, as much as possible. This metaverse that they're creating where people are spending money on virtual property. Is it really surprising that we're on this episode talking about ads in a free-to-play game?
Is it surprising? No. Is it disgusting? Yes.
Yes.
But, it's interesting to me because I sit on a very odd corner with that, right? So I can understand it. Let's say League of Legends, a free game, makes absolutely zero money from skins. Where are they getting the money to support these servers? Where are they getting the money to support these developers, coming into the game, debugging, doing their jobs, outside of course they can pull from, the coffers, but at some point, money's going to run out. So you either release games at full cost or you release skins and, we get money from there. Or, if your game's not pulling anything from any of those places, ad revenue makes sense. Geeks and Goblins, for the people that don't subscribe to the channel or whatever channel that it's on, for either you or me as well, we get ad revenue money. So, I understand that. It's a layer of support that's needed. I think probably the biggest misconception is I feel like people feel attacked by these things. I don't like it any more than anybody else. I really don't. But at some point or another, people got to make their money, man. Now, people got to make their money. People got to make their money.
Before all the hot takes start coming out, it's already happened. I do think it is greedy, but it also, to your point, makes a lot of sense when you do need a revenue stream for these free-to-play games. That being said, we haven't like I've already talked about a couple licensed games that have had commercials, full-blown commercials in their games. NBA 2K, if you play that, recently they had a unskippable ad, a freaking commercial that you really couldn't skip even if the game had already loaded. I think a couple years ago, I think it was back in 2018, prior to the pandemic, Street Fighter V Arcade Edition actually added a bunch of in-game ads as well. And I remember the whole controversy back then. So again, this is a natural progression. It doesn't surprise either of us one bit, I don't think. But it does raise a question. What is that fine line that these developers and publishers have to walk on between monetization in a reasonable way to support a game and greed? Like, what crosses that line? What is even that line?
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, you're seeing this across the board now. So Sony and Microsoft, obviously, but also if you've been paying attention to the news, I know this isn't necessarily gaming related, but it's on topic. Netflix is also potentially tooling around with the idea of a free tier where there will be ads or commercials. And that is a direct response to them. I think their profits dropped 31% in the last year or two, and they've lost 2 million or 200 million subscribers, something in those numbers. But to them, they're kind of in panic mode. That's kind of the difference between Sony and Microsoft. Netflix is in panic mode. They're losing subscribers. They're not making any money. So their option is, let's start collecting ad revenue. That makes sense. But for the sake of Sony and Microsoft, for that conversation, for me, it depends on not so much the ad, how you do it. Are you telling me that between my matches of Call of Duty, well, that's not a free to play. Well, Warzone is. So yes, between my matches of the Warzone, between my Warzone matches, I'm gonna have to watch a Tide commercial? No, that's not what we're doing. That's absolutely not what we're doing. But if you mean to tell me that while I'm playing and there happens to be a Tide billboard in the city, and that's what we're calling in-game advertisement, I can eat that and be fine. But I'm not going to sit here as a business-minded individual and say that this is a bad move. Do I think it'll work? No. EA tried it and failed horribly. But I'm not going to sit here and say that it's a bad move.
I want to refute that. I think it has already worked. I mean, think about NBA 2K. If you're playing NBA, on the sides you have the advertisements that you would regularly see in a stadium. That being said, it's 2K themselves negotiating with these companies to include their product in the video game itself. So it has worked, and not for free-to-play games. We're talking about a $70 game. Some people spend $100 for the premium edition of NBA 2K, and that game has freaking ads. So yes, I do think it will work because it already has.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's a hot take. I'll say this, just to counter that. Even if it does work, there's going to be a lot of backlash. There's going to be a lot of backlash. But I do want to raise you this question, and I raised the chat as well. Would you then pay for a premium version of the game to avoid the ads? Is that something you would do? So let's say instead of paying, obviously Apex is free, and obviously there are skins. Would you pay? Let's say they add another. Let's just play around and say that their battle pass is $5. Would you pay an extra $5 for the battle pass to remove ads from the game as well as get the battle pass?
Man, listen, like this entire conversation, I've just had the thought that like everyone always shits on mobile gaming for good reason, the over monetization. We're getting to that point, man. We're talking about getting a free to play game and being like, hey, for $10, unlock all the features and ads. That's literally a freaking mobile game, and that upsets the living crap out of me. It really does. Would I do it? No, I wouldn't, because I would try to avoid those games like plague. And that goes to your point where there is going to be a lot of backlash if that starts happening.
Yeah, man. I know firsthand how much this stuff costs, man. To have an Apex Legends that's free, if people aren't buying those skins, and that's Valorant, that's League, that's TFT, that's so many, Rogue Company, I could make a list. If people aren't buying these skins, You know how much money goes into creating a skin for a game, whether it's a gun or whether it's a character model. They spend so much. That's labor, man. That's actual labor. And a lot of these developers are salaried to a degree, but they bring in interns and they bring in hourly paid employees, and they work on these things, and they bring in contractors. That's so much money. A $10 skin in the background could cost a company $10,000, $20,000 in business talk to actually create that skin. So you're telling me that, for me, if I know that money is going towards, filling those coffers to pay the developers what they deserve to be paid, I'm here for it.
Same. But realistically, how much of that money is going to the developers instead of these executives? I mean, we have tried this. We have seen the video game industry trying to unionize.
Fair.
So a lot of that profit could be going to the developers.
Absolutely.
I mean, just recently we found out that there was a former Nintendo employee that was accusing the company of firing him because he was trying to start unionization there. This is what I'm saying, though. Like, how much of that money is going to those developers' coffers, like you mentioned, compared to paying bonuses for these people on top? Like, I forgot his name, Robbie Kotick, something like that, for Activision. Everyone wants him gone. Robbie Kotick, there you go. Like, how much of that is going to his pocket?
Absolutely.
Instead of people making Overwatch, instead of the people making COD Vanguard. And if I knew that all that money was going to support the actual developers, I would have no problem with it. But that's where the greed aspect plays in. It's it's unfortunately not going to those people. It's not going to the right people, at least in my opinion.
Let me backtrack a little bit, because I do agree. Maybe saying going to the devs was actually a little bit of a stretch that even I knew wasn't entirely true when I said it. It's kind of like I'm reading the article and speaking at the same time a little bit, because clearly Sony and Microsoft reportedly considering it, so clearly that money is going to Sony and Microsoft. But I still think the statement kind of stands a little bit, man. You got to give a little to get a little. We get very good free-to-play games. We get very, very good free-to-play games. Some of these games have won awards. like these aren't just games that are, you find on the PlayStation Store under the free section. These are games that are heavily advertised, and they do well. They bring in a huge player base, and a lot of them survive off of skins. So, I'm definitely couldn't sit here justifying saying, hey, Apex Legends is adding ads, pay $5 to play the premium version. I'm a no there. That's a no for me. I'm not sure if I could sit here and say I'd stop playing the game as well, but generally speaking, that's enough. That's a no for me, dog. But I think again, just from a business standpoint, let's take Geeks and Goblins for example. I think Geeks and Goblins is a good example, right? So, assuming let's just pretend this was our full-time gig, right?
Right.
We would survive off of subscriptions, purely off of subscriptions and donations. Those are our skins. Those are our skins and character models, right? We survive. We put labor hours into this, creating the overlays, coming up with the topics, finding our news, XYZ, all that, right? And we're surviving off of the subscriptions and tips. If those subscriptions and tips don't come, but we have the views, we have to survive off the ads. Now, I can press a button and turn an ad on, or I can press another button and I can turn ads off. If we're not making our bread and butter, we either stop what we're doing because we don't have the money to support ourselves, or we press the button. It's a harsh fact. It's a very harsh fact, and that's across gaming, that's across film, that's across comic books. That it's a harsh reality that companies do have to make their money some way. And I'm definitely not talking like the big powerhouses like Sony and Microsoft. I think it would take a lot for them not to go anywhere. And we are just talking about free-to-play titles. But that is a reality. They have to make their money some way. And as much as I love just being able to download a free game and play it and not buy the skins at all, Valorant, as much as I love doing that, they have to make their money. And I understand that from a business standpoint and from somebody who loves some of these games that come out.
Yeah, I think you're right, man. it's just, I think for a lot of people, it's all about finding that balance, making sure that it's not exploitation. It's not exploiting your player base. As long as you can do it in a sensible way, I don't think it's bad. There will be backlash regardless. There will always be backlash no matter what the hell the news is. That just seems to be the nature of social media, of the internet, just as a whole, and even the gaming industry. It tends to bring out the most toxic traits of a lot of people, unfortunately. You're right. So these free to play games, if you think about free to play games like a decade ago or 15 years ago, it was not a wide variety to pick from, and the quality was nowhere near what we have now. We've gotten to the point where games like Warframe, people say that it's superior to a game like Destiny, which is a paid freaking game with expansions and all that stuff that you have to pay for. We have games like Apex Legends that people play instead of picking up the yearly COD or whatever the crappy Battlefield is that year. It's a give and take, and as free to play games start getting more and more of a market share, we're seeing big players like Ubisoft dedicating a big portion of their developing staff into free to play games. Companies like Sony and Microsoft trying to make more and more free to play games because they know that's where the money is. As long as it's to support the game and not to stuff their executives' pockets, I really don't have it. Because, like you said, these games do need to be supported one way or another.
Yeah, yeah. And just to drill my point home a little bit further, just to drill it home a little bit further, for everyone that said no, they wouldn't pay for those, they wouldn't pay for the premium to not have the ads in game and all that stuff. You subscribe to Geeks and Goblins. And we appreciate the support, but I do think that adds to that point a little bit. I think we're willing to give a little bit more than we're willing to consider giving, in my opinion. I'm trying so hard not to read the chat. Yeah, you sub to support. You sub to support. That's kind of the point that I'm talking about. You sub to support. So, it's funny. I actually think we spent more time on. There are other points in this topic that we were supposed to talk about, but that first one is just so compelling.
Yeah,
it's such a serious topic because I think it is something that's always kind of been in the pipeline a little bit. So it's such a serious topic. Not to say that the other two aren't. By the way, PlayStation Plus. The new PlayStation Plus should hit the U.S. on June 13th. But not to say that they aren't, but that's such an interesting topic to discuss.
it is. I don't know, man. I feel like you struck a chord in the chat. There's a civil war brewing for Geeks and Goblins. It only took 7 episodes to get there. But yeah, I think you're right. When it comes to this specific topic, I think that first initial tidbit of the free to play ads, it's an interesting discussion, and it's one that we tend to have in a meta way in every single episode. So now that we're actually having a chance to talk about this out in the open, it's something that I think you and I have a lot of insight or just a lot of opinions on, and it's nice to riff on each other. And yeah.
Oh yeah, I think it's always funny to talk. I think it's always not funny. I always think it's entertaining to talk about the money people don't want to talk about their spending. It's everywhere already. It's just people don't think about it. Not to call it anybody like blind or dumb or anything like that. That's not at all what I'm trying to say. But honestly, it catches me by surprise. If you watch any bits of Rocket League is literally always advertising to you. They're always advertising to you. If you look at the arena, there's always. I remember, I think it wasn't the Batman. It was some other. It was some other show that was coming out. Or a movie that was coming out. But if you played Rocket League, all around the arena, it was the show. Like it was there at all times, advertising to you. You didn't know it, but you went home and you watched it. A lot of people did, at least. Definitely, I'm not saying you, but it's little stuff like that already does it. There's not to say it should have been on the weekly roundup, but Call of Duty, Warzone just announced a Project Monarch collaboration, and that's for Godzilla versus Kong, which came out, what now, 2 years ago, I think? A year, 2 years ago? Like, that is advertisement. Collaborations like that, those are advertisements. We get them all the time. They just added Rambo to, Rogue Company, I think? That is advertisement. They are going... I guarantee you right now, from the launch of that skin to, like... Look at the week of sales from when he showed up there to when... to the end of that week to the week before, and watch the Rambo sales skyrocket, in terms of Rambo, I guess, whatever. But, like, we are constantly being shown advertisement and constantly being preyed upon to spend our money. And it's so funny to me that when it's, when people make it apparent, no one ever talks about how it's already there.
Right. I mean, we've already talked about that 2K example, but even like the most recent first-party racing games, Gran Turismo 7, it's like literally every single quest in that game is a commercial for that fucking car.
Yeah.
The same thing goes with Forza Horizon. Oh, we've added a new car. Come check it out.
Bro.
And then come check out the actual manufacturer of the car and blah, blah, blah. We've seen this for such a long time. And I think with this whole metaverse thing that people are talking about, people talk about the metaverse like it's some sort of brand new concept. But in reality, it's just putting a name on something that's been around for a very long time, ever since like microtransactions started becoming a thing in video games. I don't know.
I mean, it is what it is. I'm not going to knock anybody for it, but it is what it is. I think people should be... I don't want to say open to spending money for ads. That's not what I want to say. But it's the idea of I don't want a chip in me because I don't want to be tracked for me. Your cell phone is in your pocket. You're being tracked.
Right.
Like, if we're going to combat the problem, we have to combat the problem as a whole, not when it becomes a apparent inconvenience.
But I think that's where a lot of the backlash comes from, right? A lot of the people who have things to say about the ads in free-to-play games, they were also proponents of like crapping on Bethesda when they introduced horse armor in Oblivion. It's that fight has never died. And
it hasn't.
It just seems like games are becoming more and more and more and more corporate, and I don't think people will ever let go of that backlash. And in a way, it's a good thing because it will keep these companies in check. At least that is an optimist's foolish dream.
Hey, look, man, shoot for your utopian revolution. I'm not going to be the guy to get in your way, all right? I fully support it. I'm here for you, my friend. I am here for you. We are going to jump to a quick 5-minute break, guys. Please do not go anywhere. We shall return shortly. We're going to get into the Thor Love and Thunder trailer and also get into our review of Moon Knight episode 4. Please do not go anywhere. We shall return shortly. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We are back. I hope you enjoyed your little break, Utopian. I hope you enjoyed your little break, people of the world. Got yourself something to drink. Maybe took a shot of Henny. Had yourself a cookie. Do whatever people do when they step away. I hope you enjoyed it.
I stuffed my face with the volcano roll from Ichiban Sushi.
Ooh.
It is amazing. I'm so happy I had that those 5 minutes. So yeah, I'm definitely feeling much better. I went to my camera a little bit. I was told it was a little blurry. Hopefully it sounds a little bit better. I also found out, I think, that my mic was actually coming from my headphones. I set it back to my my regular mic, so hopefully I sound a little bit better as well.
You do sound a little bit clearer. You do sound a little bit clearer. I think those are good. I think we're good. I had a swig of this Moscato that's at my foot that I will not have on camera. By Moscato I mean water. But I digress. Typically, whenever we show a trailer here on Geeks and Goblins, I like to have it up. But classic rock, man. Something about classic rock. They love to hit you with those old DMCA strikes on classic rock. The older the band, the more likely you are to get that strike. So we will not be watching Thor: Love and Thunder's trailer because I don't want to lose our channel. That's plain and simple. But what we can do, we can talk about it. We can absolutely talk about it, sir. Being I think the bigger comic book fan in between the two of us, I'm going to let you lead with your impressions and implications of the Thor: Love and Thunder trailer.
We are getting Hippie Thor. Hell yeah. I'm excited. The entire movie, at least the trailer that they've shown so far, I love the tone that they're setting for this movie. It very much just feels like a summer of love type of film. And it's interesting to see Thor just being, loving everybody. Just loving life, loving Peter Quill a little too much for Peter Quill's taste.
A little much.
I think it was a fantastic trailer. It set the tone, and it makes me more excited for the movie, which a good trailer should do. I'm interested in hearing your thoughts as the more avid comic book lover of the two of us.
Before I give my thoughts, I do need to take a moment to recognize. Now that I know who it is, I was going to recognize it anyway. I just get caught up talking about Moscato. Thank you, DJP Squared, for the donation to Geeks and Goblins so very much. You are greatly appreciated. Thank you for the tip. Unfortunately, I explained this to a couple of people earlier, and I explained it on our last stream. Something about Stream Elements is just not working right now with alerts. You wouldn't think that I had alerts on for something like this, but I do. For some reason, they are just not working. I've already sent up a help ticket. I understand, and I'm sure Utopian Revolt also agrees. We would love to read out your donations when they happen, and I'm so sorry that it's happening that way. But we did receive it. It has already properly been split up, and thank you again. And I am already taking the steps to make sure we get that fixed for both me and Utopian Revolt in the background. Thank you so much. Moving forward, oh boy, let me tell you, I honestly didn't think we were going to get the trailer as long as it took to damn come out, but I am loving it. I'm hoping that tonally, so far it looks like it is, but tonally I'm hoping it is more serious than Thor Ragnarok. If you know me personally, you'll know that while I'm a fan of the MCU, and even though it was so well received, Thor Ragnarok is not one of my favorite MCU films. Thor is not a bro. He is not a frat boy. He is not any of those things. He is the Norse god of thunder. And even in the comics, they are so different from each other. But that's something the MCU does, right? So it's an MCU Thor. I get it. But this trailer shows me a character that is aiming for character development and is growing into another character, and we're starting to see those big three from the original Avengers lineup. We're starting to see the tail end, the last character that would get full-on character development, get that character development, and I'm excited.
Yeah, I agree. From what the trailer shows, it looks like it's going to be leaning more towards the Thor that we saw in Infinity War and Endgame, more so than Thor Ragnarok, which I think lends itself much better for a standalone Thor movie. Ragnarok I actually really enjoyed it when I first watched it, but after rewatching it a couple times, I think it was starting to show, just the MCU as a whole was starting to show some staleness. We talked about it before on this talk show, but just that Marvel formula where it's just comedy, some action, some big set piece, comedy, something to get you emotionally tied up, comedy. Now, with the last couple of just projects that we've seen with the MCU, Shang-Chi, Eternals, Moon Knight, WandaVision, everything has such a different tone to it, its own kind of identity, separate from the greater MCU. I think it's very much going to benefit not just this movie, but the MCU as a whole going forward.
Oh, absolutely. It's about time, right? So, I mean, it comes to a point where we've had this franchise now for well over a decade. They can't give us the same, another 10 years of the same stuff, right? You have to branch out. And I think that they've done such a good job at reaching out to, I don't necessarily want to say up and coming directors, but different directors for a lot of their most recent projects, even down to Moon Knight, where the showrunner for Moon Knight is really kind of fresh. He's kind of new, and he brings a different energy. And, you know, even to Multiverse of Madness, we're getting Sam fucking Raimi, pardon my language, for Multiverse of Madness. And, you know, for all the things that I didn't like about Thor Ragnarok, there were quite a few things that I did as well, and a lot of those are attributed to the direction of Taika Waititi. So I am super looking forward to this, man, and knowing the arc that this is based off of, and some of that direction that you see, some of those shots are ripped from panels. And I cannot stress enough when I say they are ripped from panels. They are almost specifically, I guess, if we're going to talk about it specifically, I'm referencing the shot in the trailer where him and Korg are standing in front of this beast, and that's fallen, and literally the only thing that is not from that panel, shot for shot, the way it looks, the blood coming from its nose, the way it's fallen, where Thor is standing, literally the only thing that's not a part of that panel is Korg. I cannot stress this enough. I wish I could pull it up right now. I can try to, actually. So, because I think I should, because it's really something.
As you do that, I just want to go ahead and say that Korg is a goated MCU character. But I am kind of surprised to hear you express some excitement about Taika Waititi coming back and directing this, considering that he did also direct Thor Ragnarok. But that being said, I have no qualms against that. Taika Waititi has directed some of my favorite projects within the last decade, right up there with like Rian Johnson. I know that's probably a hot take, but I'll stick by it. The Last Jedi is the best Star Wars movie in the sequel. Just saying. Moving to the MCU again. I think Taika Waititi is a great choice for director for this movie. From what we've seen, it seems like it is going to be a little bit more serious than Ragnarok. I want to see how much of his identity is going to be coming through in this movie, because Thor Ragnarok, I feel like a lot. I see you pulled up. You go ahead and narrate.
Oh no, I mean, by all means, continue with your piece. I just wanted to have it up as a backdrop, really.
Oh, dude, that is straight out of. Oh my god, that's really cool. Actually, I'm not gonna lie, that's freaking awesome.
Yeah, no, and you know, this is a direct hint to to the villain of the film, who still has not been seen, Gore the God Butcher, played by Christian Bale. This is his work. So just to give you an idea of somebody, the level that we're dealing with, I'll read that for anyone who can't read it. This is Thor's head voice. I knew this god, Falagar the Behemoth, a patron god of the galactic frontier, champion of the Tournament of Immortals for 5 centuries straight. They say he wrestled black holes just for fun. I last saw him barely 100 years ago. We passed one another in the spaceways and waved. And this is what Gore the God Butcher has left in his wake.
Man. Wow. Okay, man. This topic is getting me really excited for the movie. It's probably like my most anticipated Marvel movie, like, since the MCU started. It's not the most anticipated, but it's right up there. Coupled with this, what you're showing us and everything that we've already talked about, this is shaping up to be something special. And we haven't even talked about the big quote-unquote reveal at the end of the trailer, which is Jane Foster becoming She-Thor. There's so much going on with this movie, and I'm for one very, very excited.
So let me just go ahead and correct you really quick. A correction out of humor, just so we know. That is not She-Thor, my friend. That is Thor. Like, let's get something straight. Something you really wouldn't know unless you read the comic. That is Thor. She takes up the mantle of Thor. So it's a little bit of a long story. I don't want to say anything. I don't want to potentially give it away, but it's exciting stuff, man. I'm gonna go ahead and while we're talking about this, just have the trailer playing on the side with no audio. But yes, she does take on the mantle of Thor. That is Jane Foster. I'm hoping it's not a variant. I'm not going to say why she becomes the Mighty Thor, to be specific. Why she becomes the Mighty Thor. But I think all of you are really in for a treat, especially if you don't know the lore of the characters.
I for one, am one of those people. I'm honestly really excited to see more of the Guardians. To be honest, Guardians of the Galaxy 1 is right it's in the top 3 of my favorite movies in this franchise. So seeing more of Peter Quill, seeing more of just that cast. I've always loved the interactions between Thor and the Guardians. So the fact that we're going to be seeing more of that. I mean, right now in that specific clip, we saw Zeus. Also, we haven't even talked about the freaking Greek mythology being incorporated into MCU.
Oh, we can get into
this. I'm going to stress, this is what, a minute and a half for a teaser, and it shows so freaking much. Not in a way that it spoils anything, but it just hypes up so freaking much. This is the very definition of a teaser trailer.
Absolutely.
My God, we've been blessed.
Absolutely. While we're here, since I managed to get it up, I've been wanting to test the screen, by the way, so super excited about it. But it looks so much better than our old screen. Let's just get into it a little bit. Let's break it down, some of my favorite things about this trailer. This specific shot right here, seeing Thor in the OG comic outfit. Like, for those of you who don't know, in the comics, this is essentially his OG outfit. The boots and the blue pants, and we've seen the variation of this vest before, and it's just so dope. This marks, I think, maybe the 3rd, 4th, or 5th iteration of an OG comic outfit that we've seen in this phase of the MCU. Scarlet Witch did it. Spider-Man now has it from the end of No Way Home. Like, it's just dope to see them do these little callbacks, these levels of fan service.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I hope we keep it going, and hopefully one day when they introduce Wolverine, maybe we get that, classic yellow outfit. That'd be great. But I don't know. I think we've reached the point of the MCU where they could literally do anything. They have the world to play with.
Oh,
and
yeah.
We talked about it a couple episodes ago. It's the same thing with Star Wars. Like, Disney has such a gold mine here. Now that the first 10 years of the MCU is over, we're going to be delving into the deepest bowels of the lore. Did I actually say the bowels?
You did.
Let's ignore that.
Speaking of the bowels, we just saw the Guardians leave Thor and Korg, and the only place they can leave is through the Devil's Anus.
Right?
Still a little awkward of a name, in my opinion. Whatever Taika Waititi wants to do, I guess he's just a sweetheart, I guess. But speaking of which, another little moment from the trailer that is being heavily talked about, this wide shot of Korg and Thor. By the way, I do love how Thor has this kind of like 80s like muscle bro look going on for the trailer for the film. I do love it. I'm falling in love with bro Thor little by little. But the thing I want to point out here is this wide shot looks like it's been reserved for 3 characters. So there's somebody missing here, and me personally, give me Better Ray Bill. It's time.
See, I'm not familiar with that character. Would you mind elaborating a little bit?
Oh, he's such a cool... Him and Thor are bros, man. Like, he has his own hammer that was created for him. He's literally alien Thor. If we get him, which we've been rumored to get him for years now, it'll be really fucking cool. But yeah, he's one of Thor's best bros. He's on Thor's level as well. We're not talking about just like a Korg level friend. Like, he can wreck some shit. And his hammer is called Stormbreaker. No, I'm sorry, not Stormbreaker. God, what's his hammer called? I've forgotten because I haven't read comics in so long. But really cool character. He's been a fan favorite, a big fan ask since the original Thor. So hopefully we get some of that here in Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah, man. Fingers crossed. I'm personally really excited for this movie.
Same.
That can't be stated enough. July, man, that's coming very soon. And for those of you out there watching, I mean, you better count on us having a review the week it releases.
Now, I need your opinion as well as the audience for anyone that's watching. I'm going to slow this down right here because I feel like I might be on drugs. But at the same time, I feel like I'm not. Can someone please tell me if this is Doja Cat?
I wouldn't be able to tell you, man.
I need someone to tell me if this is Doja Cat. It looks like Doja Cat. It looks just like Doja Cat. I'm just saying. I don't know if she's got like a cameo in the movie as like some strange space pirate. Like, that would be really cool, but I remember when the trailer came out and I saw it, I was like, that's fucking Doja Cat, bro. Like, it's gotta be. It's gotta be. But that's neither here nor there. Moving on to, in my opinion, the second biggest part of this whole trailer. Boom. Confirmation, as far as I'm concerned, of Zeus in the MCU. We are going to Olympus, ladies and gentlemen. We are finally getting introduced to the Greek pantheon of gods. This is so exciting for so many reasons, and I cannot even begin.
Oh, man. Dude, I mean, we've talked about it a couple times. Like, it's speculated, I think it's more than just speculation at this point, that Zeus will be played by Russell Crowe, right?
Yes, he himself came out in an interview. He did a Marvel press docket faux pas and told everybody who he was. So he has said it, so I believe it at this point. I fully believe it. Russell Crowe doesn't seem like the guy to play coy in an interview. He's going to say what he wants to say.
Man, it's so cool. I don't really know how the Greek mythology ties into the MCU in terms of, or sorry, not the MCU, but just Marvel comics. I'm interested to hear, are they as prominent as Norse gods?
Yes, absolutely. I think the biggest point to talk about is the fact that Thor and Hercules are really, really good friends. And Hercules is Hercules. He is ridiculously strong. We're talking, mind you, he is a god in the comics. We're talking Hulk and beyond level strong. Like, they are not to be trifled with.
That's cool. That's cool. We've talked about who the potential casting choice could be for Hercules, and that speculation maybe warrants its own topic in a future episode of Geeks and Goblins. But this is just exciting stuff. It's crazy how much was jam packed in a minute and 30 seconds. That is still mind boggling to me.
Oh, yeah. And there's so much more we can unpack. We're kind of running into the end of our time here on this particular topic. So I'm going to just fast forward so everyone can get a good look at the mighty Thor herself. Check out the guns on Natalie Portman, first and foremost. I'm not messing with her, all right? There are no cat calls. There are no Ayo Mas. There are none of that, all right? Like, first off, gentlemen, don't be doing that shit anyway. Second off, don't do it to her. She will jack you up, son. She will lift you by your shirt and jack you up. No, for real, though. This is the most exciting part of this whole trailer. I'm super here for it. The Mighty Thor is a fantastic character. Natalie Portman is a beloved actress, and especially a beloved nerd actress. So I'm super here for it. I can't wait to see the dynamic.
Oh, OG Goblin, I got a question for you. Between these two superheroes, who would win? Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman or Natalie Portman's Thor?
Oh God. Honestly, probably Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
I'm not pairing anybody in the Marvel universe against a DC counterpart. Batman would. Actually, no. Anyone can kill Batman. Moon Knight will kill Batman. Everybody get over it. Superman beats the Hulk. Aquaman beats Namor the Submariner. Wonder Woman beats Thor. It's just a harsh reality that people need to learn to live with, in my opinion.
Oh man, hey, I heard you touch upon it. Do you want to talk a little bit about Moon Knight episode 4?
Oh, shit. Hell yeah, I want to talk about Moon Knight episode 4. Real quick, I do want to say, yes, while he wears a Batman shirt, I will disrespect the symbol to the day I die.
Oh man.
It's funny, we talked about how we were going to cut this episode short, but here we are. We're gonna, it just happens. It just happens. Moon Knight episode 4, man. It, it just continues to be a good show. I'm gonna take a page out of your book like we did last episode. I'm going to rate it before we review it. I am going to give Moon Knight episode 4 a very solid 4 goblins out of 5.
Okay.
It gave me a lot of the things that I want. We are officially starting to see the horror side of the MCU, and it is in full force, and it looked good, baby. It looked good, and I love all that, but this episode, in relation to the last episode, did not hit all the marks I wanted it to hit, but at the same time, it did end in an interesting space. It ends in a very interesting space, and I now understand why all the people who saw it, prior to this day, said, hey, this one's going to change the way you perceive the show. And I have some theories about that before we wrap up the show, so on to you, sir.
I completely agree with that. I think you said that it didn't hit on all the marks that you wanted it to hit, but hopefully it hit on the one mark, Mark Spector. Terrible joke aside. My review score for episode 4 is a very nice 4.5 geeks out of 5 geeks. It like you, it didn't really get on the same level as episode 3. I think it's because it's fundamentally a different type of episode. Whereas episode 3 was more of a world building type of episode where we got a lot of the council with the trial. We got Khonshu and basically him talking about his past a little bit more of mystery revealing. This felt like the proper climax of this first season. It felt more of an adventure type of vibe, and it did cross over to that horror near like the midway point. The acting is still top notch. It's funny how in the first episode we were both a little worried about the CG, and then it's bro, like there was no reason to worry. I mean, they've showed us no reason to worry about that. It was a great episode. The only thing holding it back is just it didn't feel enough. It felt almost too short, which is weird considering it was the same length as the other episodes.
Yeah, it definitely felt like it ran through it a little bit. And I think it goes without saying, at this point, we are going to venture into the spoiler territory. So as I do, I will give you 15 seconds from this point. And I do have the clock to run away, run and hide, go, turn on Disney Plus, and go and watch episode 4 of Moon Knight, and then come back in 24 hours and watch the VOD on YouTube. And your time is officially up. Yes. There's so many things, man, about this episode that did that hit the nail on the head. I think, honestly, considering the pacing of this episode, I don't really want to run down exactly what happened. But really just in the interest of time, to kind of just talk about the episode and what we felt about some of the things we saw. So as far as the vibe goes for me, and I think that'll be a good point to start, if you are a fan of the Mummy films, this is the Mummy films dumbed down. Like, it was... I say dumbed down, but that's a disservice. It captures that heart so well to see that adventure side, and it does so much right in the realm of, like, giving us an action-adventure show, as well as one that delves into the horror realm, and knowing that we've got Multiverse of Madness coming in about just under 3 weeks, and knowing that Blade is on the horizon, man, I think Marvel is officially ready to delve into a little bit darker territories. We saw a man cut open by a mummy, and his organs put into jars
Oh.
on Disney
Oh my
Plus.
God.
God bless this country we live in.
Woo! It's funny. You did mention that it was very much like the Mummy. I hadn't even thought about that. Although it definitely hits like Friendly Feline says in the chat. It hits the nail in the sarcophagus. But throughout the first half of the episode, I was just thinking to myself, like, "Hey, man, this feels like an Uncharted game. This feels like an Indiana Jones movie. This feels like Tomb Raider." And I thought that little tidbit towards the end of the episode where I think they showed that Stephen Grant was actually a character in this movie called, what, Tomb Buster?
Tomb Buster, yeah.
Oh, man. I love adventure movies, and you and I have talked about our shared love for the Mummy, and this episode captured that vibe, that tone so perfectly
So
well. And you're right, man. We are getting prepared for the horrorverse in the MCU, and it couldn't arrive in a more opportune moment. And that's where I just keep saying this. This is the best of the MCU is ahead of us. And watching this episode, I kind of like took some time afterwards to think, like, my God, like, Moon Knight is not just one of my favorite properties in this MCU. It's one of my favorite shows that I've ever seen. And it seems like it's getting better and better. I know I gave it a lesser score than I did last time. Just, it feels like it makes sense. Even though this episode didn't catch the highs that the last one did, it feels like it took the story in an organic direction. And I'm in love, man. I'm in love.
Agreed. And, we're starting to really come full circle with these character developments, right? So now we have the full realization that the system that is marked Steven and any of the other alters, that the system is responsible for the death of Layla's father. And to see her reaction to that, and to see really his reaction to that is stellar, and fantastic performances again from both ends, and even down to Harrow again, like breaking into that backstory, and we understand a little bit more now about how he processes. He sees the actions of somebody when he judges them so that he can properly judge them. He sees it all, which opens up some other implications as well, but I'll get into that a little bit later down the line. But he continues to be an interesting character, and he continues to remain mysterious, honestly, even going into this mental institution that we find Mark in at the end of the episode, which, oh boy, there's so much to unpack there alone.
Oh my God, that deserves its own, like, a whole topic just for that. You're completely right about that. But going to what you were saying about how this episode ended up in that mental institution, I just want to give a huge shout out. I saw the Friendly Feline already that in the chat, but it's something that her and I discussed after this episode. This show has done such a great job representing just mental health issues and the struggle that it is for a human to have good mental health, for just a person to be able to survive some traumatic events. And we saw it at the end when Mark was talking to Harrow, and Harrow was playing the role of a psychologist. I can't put in words, man. They are doing some really, really interesting things with this show. And no. Just take it away from me.
I'll take it away. And I'll take it into into that mental institution. Oh my God. I think some of the interesting things there. If you were a major character in the show up until this point, you appeared there. So it really raises the question, right? Has Mark been hallucinating this whole thing? Has he been in this institution potentially for quite some time now? We could argue that there's definitely something going on. They don't keep people in sarcophaguses, but that's definitely not the case. But we do have to ask how this plays into his current mental state, right? Whether he's there or not, where is he really? I said this on the last episode. If you are familiar with Moon Knight, we know that the alters are all unreliable storytellers. And this particular segment of the show does play into a run in the comics where we do find all of the alters, one of which was hinted at as well, the other sarcophagus, the red sarcophagus. In my opinion, I think is a hint at Jake Lockley, the third alter, who appears to be more violent than he typically is in the comics. But in this run in the comics, all of the alters pretty much come to an understanding, and they say, hey, we have to learn how to work with each other, and we all have to learn how to be healthier if we're going to do this superhero thing. And that is the run. I don't think, or at least let me say, I really hope, I really hope that is not the direction that they're going to go in here. We have not really had enough of any of these alters or any of these characters to really go to that place, in my opinion. I think it's too fast of a leap for the comics. So with that said, I have a theory.
What's the theory?
In this same run, we find out that Steven is a film director, and he is directing a television show called Moon Knight. My theory is this. I don't think this is where they're going, but it is a theory, and if they do go here, they'll have to have a damn good reason. But I believe that we are going to find out that Moon Knight has been a show in a show. That is my theory. And I will give you my proof. I'm not going to pull it up on the screen because that's a lot of work. But I will give you my proof. So, in episode... Well, we're on 4 now. In episode 3... in the beginning, when they're fighting on the rooftop... Yes, it's kind of similar to WandaVision. In a way, kind of. On that rooftop, in that fight he's having in Cairo, you see a green screen sitting on the ground. I know what you're thinking. Green screen, if you even look at it, it even looks a little sketchy, looks a little iffy. Might not be a green screen. Cool, whatever. Let's move on. Few moments later, when they are running down that alleyway, and dude knocks over the carpet in front of Mark to stop him. If you look to the right, in just that moment, there is a man holding a camera that looks a little too obviously placed to have been a mistake. So,
wait. Is this the same? We're talking about the same exact episode.
Same exact episode.
Was basically complaining that the first half hour felt too much like the set of a movie.
Yes.
My God, you are blowing my mind right now. I feel like I just finished watching Inception or something.
So now hold on. Just to add some more fuel to the fire, just throw some more gasoline on the flame. During the initial screenings of the show, a lot of people complained that there are segments of the show that look like they weren't completed yet. And Marvel said they would be completed prior to the release of the actual series. Yet here we are on episode 4, and certain things that some would say should have been removed are still there. My theory is that it is a show within a show. I don't know where they're going to go with it. I do not know where they're going to go with it. Do I think they should do it? I don't know. It really depends on where they're going to go with it. But I think all the signs are there, and it has precedent in the comics. That's what I have to say about it.
Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, that would kind of explain the little Moon Knight figurine that they had at the end of the episode. It's interesting. Like, if that is true, we still have, like you said, we have no idea where they're gonna go with it. I remember when Steven and Mark were both like walking through that hallway, or no, when Mark was running away from the guards or the nurses, the assistants, whatever they're called. It felt like it was a boat that was swaying. So I feel like they're just throwing thing after thing after thing to kind of like subvert our expectations and to keep us guessing. And it reminds me a lot of I don't know if you've watched it, but it reminds me a lot of Mr. Robot. And I dig that type of storytelling. I really do. And it the show has kind of just elevated to a new height for me. When you start doing things where not even the audience knows what's going on, but they're interested to find out, that's how you know that you've won. You've created something that is great.
Absolutely.
And, oh man, it's I don't know. I don't know. A show within a show. Do you think Stephen Grant is going to end up being the director of said show? Do you think they're going to go ahead and use that run from the comics?
I'm not sure. I see the pieces, and I don't know where it's gonna go. I really don't. It'd be really cool though. I think it would be pretty cool. I think it'd be pretty cool. If they were to do it, they would have to do it like in a very tasteful way, without making the audience feel like they've wasted they've wasted 6 episodes of their lives. But I will say, before we move on to anything else, I do want to say I have a new favorite character in the show. And I cannot wait to see more of this character. It's the Egyptian god Tawaret. All right? The hippo god. The god of, one of the gods of rebirth in the afterlife. Just the, hey, like, it made me happy. I don't understand. I love a hippo. All right? I love hippos. They're cool. They're cool because they don't fuck with y'all. They don't like us. They don't like anybody. They don't even like each other. Like they will fight. They're fighters. And I'm here for the hippo. All right, y'all. You heard it here first. Too. OG Goblin is here for the hippo. All right, and I also think she's going to be the one that brings Steven back.
Well, we're not even talking about the fashion sense. You know, this
right?
is straight out of Coachella.
Dripping.
You know what I'm saying?
Dripping. Just came back from Coachella.
Oh, man.
Listen, sorry for dripping, but dripping's what I do. Look at the swag, bro. Come on, man.
Oh, man. When you were going to announce, your new favorite character, I thought you were going to talk about that guy who was hosting that bingo game. I think he stole the show for sure.
Oh, who? The Tomb Buster?
The Tomb Buster.
Yeah, Tomb Buster. I want that series. Give me that. But give me Tomb Buster Unlimited. That's what I want right now. Give it to me. I wants it. I needs it right now. Yeah, man.
To backtrack a little bit, I just want to say I think you and I both freaking called it. Stephen Grant is Mr. Steal Your Girl. We saw him put on the moves on Layla this episode, and I thought the entire interaction between those two, so wholesome. I loved every single second of it.
Yes, they gave us arguably the most awkward film kiss of all time. My man Steven hit her with the double hands on the shoulder. Hey. No, I'm sorry. Shout out to Steven for having the balls. I'll give him that. But man, he hit her with the double hands on the shoulder, man. That shit sent me. I was like, yo, he's giving her the double hand. Come on, man. But yes, happy to see that development there. I'm not sure if I'm fully here for it. I mean, he is also I've never been a big fan of rushed romances and stuff. So I mean, in a lot of ways, Steven is still this person that she met a couple of days ago. So in a lot of ways. So I don't know, maybe it feels a little, I won't say it feels forced, but I don't fully support
it. Man, I don't know. It would make sense because there is that familiarity between the body, right? Steven being Mark and her coming up to Steven and be like, you even smell like Mark. I mean, that line was a little forced, but it also kind of gave the impression that I think she's falling for, I guess, the persona that is both Mark and Steven merged together. But to take this to a whole nother realm, this whole conversation to a whole nother realm, I want to talk about another theory that I have. There was near the end of the episode when it transitioned to Tomb Buster, there was this really sick transition where it showed Mark like drowning and like descending into the depth of like just darkness, and then it
Yes.
showed a little bit of light, kind of like going into the light after that you die. And then it transitioned to Doom Buster that ended up being a flashlight. Cool transition, first of all. But do you think there is any chance that what we're witnessing in Moon Knight is actually just the symptom of a multiverse? And as we get closer to Multiverse of Madness, we start seeing more and more ties and to Doctor Strange. Because at the end of the episode, Hera was talking a lot about how we don't live, or how they don't live in a physical realm. They live in a psychic realm. That part kind of stood out to me a little bit.
As long as the system remains and they're represented as someone who suffers from DID, I'm okay. And not from a like, oh, he has to have it for pain reasons kind of way, but I just think it would undervalue the character. I think it's interesting that you brought it up. There's a creator on TikTok who brought up the theory that what if all of the alters are just variant versions of the same person, and it's just I feel like we're suffering from multiverse overload a little bit as well. Not everything needs to be the multiverse. Not everyone needs to be a variant, and I think specifically in this instance, I think it would devalue the character. That is a core fundamental element of that character, and I think it would do a disservice to people who suffer from DID, and the people that I've seen respond to this character and feel like that they have a good representation for that to be a thing. If we find out that these are variants in some way, shape, or form, and they did remove the factor of DID from him, I think that would be a huge disservice, and I would actually be severely let down by Marvel for doing a decision like that. But otherwise, if they do retain DID, I think it'd be cool to see some multiversal stuff there.
I completely agree. I mean, we've already talked about how the mental health aspect of this show has been very unique, and it's part of the reason why I'm enjoying it so much. I think mental health is just severely underrepresented in big franchises. So if they do end up kind of like explaining that away, I will also leave this first season feeling like it was a disappointment. Right now, I'm riding this high. I'm saying this is some of my favorite content I've ever watched. If they end up doing that, it wouldn't be up there anymore for me. That being said, I feel like there's no reason why they can't still incorporate DID with the existence of a multiverse. At the end of the day, the ending of this episode is all like it's going to be speculated to death.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, you and I both have had our theories. There's a bunch of people on the internet already posting their own theories. I'm looking forward to see what they come up with. It does seem like they have a plan in place, and they have been dropping little nuggets here and there. Who knows if it's there to kind of distract us, to make us think that we're onto something. How long do you think it's going to take until this pays off? Do you think we get the solution to all these mysteries, an answer to all these mysteries next episode? Or do you think we potentially would have to wait until the end of the season to have all this resolved, if even then?
I think we're going to get the majority in episode 5. And I think we'll get a good portion of that resolution, the remaining portion of that resolution halfway through episode 6. We've yet to see a major conflict, a major, Marvel's typical set piece. We've yet to see that in this show. So it has to happen. It happens. It's happened in every show. Or, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't. But to answer your question, I think we're going to get the majority of our answers next episode. And then we will get the remainder halfway through the other. I do think we are going to get a after credit scene for the last episode that will, hopefully give us a little bit more to look forward to in the MCU, or at least with, Moon Knight. Hopefully this isn't the last we see of Moon Knight. But that's kind of where I stand That's where I stand. Also, I do want to say I now understand where all of their budget for CGI went. It went to the most adorable character ever, Thaweret. That's where it went. Because I've yet to put this picture away, and the more and more I look at it, I think how good it fucking looks, and how bad the first 2 episodes looked. And now I realize that this is where the budget went. This is where the budget went, and I'm okay.
Oh man,
Thaweret is baby, and she needs to be protected.
Let's we have to. I mean, listen, what an entrance to the MCU, right? Just that little simple, hey, how you doing? And then Mark and Steven collectively losing their freaking shit after that delivery. That was the best bit of comedy that we've gotten throughout this amazing show so far.
Oh, 100%. It was hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. I'm on my computer thing right now. I'm on my image search super heavy today, because I just feel like everything deserves to be seen, and this is an image that always deserves to be seen right here. This is one of the funniest things I've ever seen in the MCU. Literally one of the funniest things. Good job, Marvel. Good job, Marvel. Although you would think for two guys that have interacted with a giant skeleton crow, they wouldn't be so disturbed by a hippo god. But all right, like, go off.
Man, episode by episode, that initial statement about Oscar Isaac being the best thing since RDJ into the MCU, I believe it whole freaking heartedly. That guy. I'm not talking shit about any other actor, actress, character in the show. That guy is carrying the hell out of this property. It's, oh my god, put some respect on my man's name.
Oh, 100%. And honestly, the only other person that has, like, been as big of an improvement for the MCU besides him for me was Willem Dafoe. And that's saying something. That is saying something. Which, by the way, Willem Dafoe was on the set of Moon Knight. Just saying. Just saying. Do I think it means anything? No, absolutely not. But there is a picture floating around of Willem Dafoe, Ethan Hawke, and Oscar Isaac on set. Not hard to find at all. Not hard to find. I'm gonna do one last picture search as you close us out for the day.
Okay, so as we're getting near the end here, I do still want to pose one question to you. Throughout our reviews, you've mentioned that you feel like there's a distinct possibility that Harrow could end up being Dracula. Do you still think that after this episode?
All right, I'm going to extend it, right? I'm going to extend it. Yes, I think there's a possibility that he is Dracula. I also am now joining the internet bandwagon. As false as it may end up being, at the end of the day, I'm joining the internet bandwagon. Ethan Hawke could potentially also be Victor Von Doom. Dr. Doom himself.
Picture. You're a genius, first of all.
I can't claim that one. I can't claim that one. That is the internet theory, although I will let you call me a genius. I can't claim that one.
I just want to say, what a lovely picture.
What a
William
lovely
Dafoe
picture.
Flicking me off. That is all I needed in my life.
Let me get some... Yeah, there we go. I had to get some of the fingers in there. For context, of course, for context.
Oh my god.
I think this is a good signing off image. I think this is a good... We'll see you next time.
Honestly, when we put this on YouTube, that needs to be the thumbnail of the episode, I think.
I can work it in. I can try to work it in. I'll try to do something special. Special edition cover. Catch it while you can. It'll only be up for an hour. This will be our NFT.
Oh my god. What an episode, man. Both Moon Knight and this episode of Geeks and Goblins. It's been fun, man.
Agreed, man.
How
Agreed.
You
Tell them where they can find you, sir.
Yeah, you guys can find me on Twitter, Utopian Revolt, spelled the same way that you see here. On Wednesdays and Fridays, you can find me on my own Twitch channel. I'll be streaming twice a week now. We're moving on up in the world. Started from the bottom, now we're here. You can always catch me on Geeks and Goblins as well every Saturday, and OG Goblins Discord and my own Discord as well. There's a lot of different places to find me if you so wish. I appreciate you guys supporting me. My channel has had a great start. We are almost at affiliate already.
Booming.
We're not even 2 weeks in.
Booming, absolutely booming.
Sheesh. I couldn't have done it without you guys.
Kind of insane. Kind of fucking insane. Yeah, you're so close, bro. I'm rooting for you. I'm sure we'll get there.
Oh.
It's an inevitability. An inevitability.
Oh, man. Absolutely, man. Just like Thanos, I am inevitable. And OG Goblin, man, I can't thank you enough for having me on as your co-host at Geeks and Goblins and helping me launch my own platform. I love you. I love Azur Zayli. I love the whole Goblin gang, and I appreciate you guys.
Of course, man. I'm happy to do it. We love you too. Don't ever let that be a question that you have to ask yourself. We love you deeply. We love you, and we love you all out there in the Twitch world. Go. I have put his channel in the chat. If you're not following him already, go henceforth and follow Utopian Revolt. Also go to his About Me section and follow his other links. They're all there. His YouTube, his Twitch, his Twitter. Go do it. Do it right now. And if you're not already following me, if you're in the background lurking, we would greatly appreciate it if you hit us up with a follow. That's all we ask, so that way you can know when the next episode of Geeks and Goblins is. You can find me here every other day of the week on OG Goblin Gaming, Monday, Wednesday, and a Saturday for Geeks and Goblins. And you can also find me, again, I say it every stream, Google me, you'll find me. Not to sound pretentious. I understand how fucked up that can sound. But literally Google me, you'll be able to find most of my body of work. Thank you all, as always, for tuning in. We will be back next Saturday with another episode of Geeks and Goblins. You have all been lovely. Thank you for joining me, Utopian Revolt. We will see you all on the next episode. Good night!